Midnight doesn't arrive loudly. It slips in. Quiet. Careful. Like something that knows you won't notice until it's already too close. The first time it happened to me, I was awake. That's important, because people always say midnight horrors come to those who sleep. They're wrong. I was sitting alone in my room, lights off, phone face down on the table. Outside, the city had slowed to a crawl, no traffic. No voices, just the distant hum of electricity and the ticking of a clock I didn't remember buying. 12 a.m., the clock clicked. Not ticked, clicked, and then it stopped. I frowned and reached for my phone. No signal, no notifications. No time displayed, just a black screen reflecting my face. Except the reflection blinked. Primera, didn't. I turned the phone over quickly. Heart pounding. The room felt different. Heavier. As if the air had thickened. From somewhere far away, maybe the hallway, maybe inside the walls, I heard footsteps. Slow, measured. One step every second. I told myself it was a neighbor. Old buildings make noise at night. That's normal. What wasn't normal was that the footsteps stopped exactly outside my door. I held my breath. Silence. Then a soft knock. 3 taps. Perfectly even. I didn't move. The knock came again. 3 taps. This time closer. Not on the door on Teensy Day. My blood ran cold. I backed away until my shoulders hit the wall. My eyes kept drifting to the clock. Frozen at midnight. A whisper slid through the room. Not loud, not threatening, just certain. You're awake. The words didn't echo. Te I setlith. I shook my head violently. No, I whispered. No, no, no. The door handle turned. Slowly. It didn't open. Something tested it. Learning. Then the footsteps retreated. I sank to the floor, shaking, convinced it was over. I was wrong. Midnight doesn't end when the clock moves. It ends when it decides to leave. The lights flickered back on by themselves. The clock resumed ticking. 12:01 a.m. Everything looked normal. Too normal. I laughed weakly, blaming stress, imagination, exhaustion. That was my second mistake. From that night on, midnight followed me. Not every night, just often enough. Sometimes it was small, shadows lingering too long. My name whispered when no one was there. Other times, it was worse. At exactly 12 a.m., reflections would stop copying me. My shadow would face the wrong direction. My phone would vibrate with no notifications. Once, I woke up standing in my hallway, staring at my own door from the outside. I started writing everything down. Dates, times, details. A pattern emerged. Midnight wasn't a time. It was a state. And it was spreading. I searched online for answers. Buried forums, deleted posts, half-written warnings. One sentence appeared again and again before accounts abruptly ended. If you're awake when it arrives, it notices you. On the 7th night, I heard knocking again. This time, I opened the door. The hallway was empty, except for a man standing under the flickering light. Tall. Too still. His face looked ordinary, almost comforting. Until he smiled. His smile came a second too late. "Good," he said softly. "You finally answered." My stomach dropped. "What do you want?" I asked. He tilted his head. "You don't remember inviting me?" I didn't. His smile widened. "You were awake." The lights went out. Behind him, the hallway stretched impossibly long. Doors lined the walls. Dozens of each one slightly open. From inside, I heard breathing. Not one. Many? The man stepped closer. "Midnight is when the door's thin," he said, "and you've been leaving yours open every night." I tried to run. My legs wouldn't move. He leaned in until I could smell damp earth and old dust. "Don't worry," he whispered. "You're not late?" The clock somewhere behind me clicked again, and midnight began. I don't remember falling asleep. I remember standing. The hallway was still dark, stretching farther than it ever should. The man was gone, but the doors remained dozens of them, maybe hundreds. Each door breathed. Slow inhales, slow exhales, like something alive on the other side. The lights flickered back on with a sharp buzz, and suddenly I was back inside my room, collapsed on the floor, drenched in sweat. My clock showed 12:07 a.m. 7 minutes. 7 minutes missing. My door was closed, but the handle was warm. I didn't sleep that night. At dawn, I checked my notes. New writing had appeared, my handwriting, but not my words. Rule number 1. Midnight responds to awareness. Rule number 2. Opening the door is consent. Rule number 3. Once noticed, it never forgets. My hands trembled. I hadn't written that. That morning, I called in sick and went searching, not online this time. Real places. Old libraries. Closed archives. Anywhere that stored forgotten things. By evening, I found it. A thin, dust-choked file labeled Midnight Phenomenon, Incomplete Records. The librarian warned me not to take photos. People who study this too closely, she said quietly, tend to disappear prima facie anyway. The phenomenon had been reported for centuries, always described differently, always ending the same way. Some called it the hour that watch us. Others named it the thin time. In rural accounts, it was simply known as midnight. Common traits appeared in every case. It begins at exactly 12 a.m. It targets the awake. It tests doors, reflections, and names. Survivors experience repeated encounters. Most don't survive past the final night. The final night. My throat went dry. One testimony stood out, a voice recording transcript from 1998. It pretends to be patient. It lets you think you're safe. But it's counting. When the doors multiply, you're close. Doors. I slammed the file shut. That night, I tried something different. At 11:55 p.m. I turned on every light, every screen, every noise I could. Music blared. TV shouted. I stared at the clock. 11:59. My heart hammered. 12 o'clock. Nothing happened. I laughed too loud. See? I said to the empty room. You don't exist. The music cut out. The TV froze. Every light switched off. At once, darkness swallowed the room. Then the whisper returned right beside my ear. You learned our rules. My reflection appeared in the black TV screen. Smiling, its mouth moved before the voice spoke. So now we learn yours. The walls began to stretch, bending like wet paper. My room elongated, reshaping into a narrow corridor lined with doors. Again, but this time, every door had my name scratched into it. I backed away until I hit one. The handle turned on its own. Inside, I saw a version of myself, folder, hollow-eyed, rocking back and forth. He looked up. Don't open any more, he begged. I thought I could escape. The door slammed shut. The man from the hallway appeared at the far end, walking toward me, 1 step per second. You've reached the counting phase, he said calmly. Midnight gives 3 chances. Chances for what? I shouted. To choose, he replied, or to be chosen. The doors started opening. One by one. Hands reached out. Voices called my name. Some begged. Some threatened. Some sounded like people I loved. The man stopped in front of me. Tomorrow night, he said, you'll face the last rule. He leaned close. If you're alone at midnight, it takes you. If you're not, it replaces you. The corridor collapsed. I woke up screaming. My clock read 6 a.m. on my wall. Carved deep into the paint were fresh words, one night left. I didn't leave my apartment the entire day. The words on the wall, one night left, refused to fade. I scrubbed them until my fingers bled. The paint peeled. The wall cracked. The words stayed. By evening, the fear changed. It hardened, became sharp. Midnight wanted a choice. Alone. It takes you, not alone. It replaces you. I tried to think logically. Maybe it was stress, sleep paralysis, hallucinations. Then my phone buzzed. An unknown number. Text. "You don't have much time." My chest tightened. Mia, who is this? Unknown. Someone who survived. Barely me how. Unknown. By breaking the last rule. I stared at the screen. Me. What rule? 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Then one final message. Unknown. Never let midnight decide for you. The number went dead. At 11:40 p.m., I prepared. Every mirror was covered. Every door locked except one. The front door. The front door. If midnight was obsessed with doors, I would give it only one. I called my sister. "Can you stay on the line with me?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. She laughed softly. "You sound scared?" "I am." 11:58. The air grew heavy, thick enough to choke on. Even the silence felt loud. 11:59. My sister stopped talking. "Sarah," I whispered. Static answered, "Las 12 alto m." The lights died. My phone went black. And the world shifted. The walls stretched outward, bending into the no-familiar corridor. Doors appeared where pictures once hung. The floor pulsed beneath my feet like a living thing. This time, I didn't scream. I waited. The man appeared instantly closer than before. "You've done well," he said. "Most people beg by now." "What are you?" I demanded. He smiled not kindly. "We are what fills the space between seconds. Midnight is not an hour. It's a doorway." The doors began opening. Inside them, I saw my life moments twisted wrong. Me standing where I shouldn't be. Me smiling when I should be terrified. Me watching someone else live my life. "That's the replacement," I whispered. He nodded. "A perfect continuation. No one noticed it, except you." At the end of the corridor stood a final door taller than the rest. No name carved into it. "What happens if I open that one?" I asked. He hesitated. "That door," he said, "is choice." I stepped toward it. The voices screamed now. Overlapping. Desperate. "Stop. Don't open it." My hand touched the handle. The man lunged. "You don't understand," he snapped. "If you choose, midnight loses. Who but someone else pays?" I froze. "Who?" I asked. He looked at me with something close to pity. "Whoever's closest to you when the clock strikes." "Sarah." I pulled my hand back. The corridor shook violently. Midnight was angry. "You lied," I said to the man. "You didn't survive. You chose." His smile broke. "Yes," he whispered, "and I regret it every night." The walls began collapsing inward. The doors slammed shut one by one. "Make your decision." Midnight roared through every voice at once. I closed my eyes. Then I did the only thing midnight never expected. I stepped backward away from all the doors. "I refuse," I said. Silence fell. The man stared at me in horror. "You can't refuse," he said. "There must always be a crossing." "Then take me," I whispered. "But not as replacement. Not as choice." The corridor screamed. Pain ripped through my body as the world folded in on itself. I woke up on my apartment floor. Morning light streamed through the window. The walls were normal. The doors were gone. My phone buzzed. A missed call from Sarah. I answered immediately. "Where were you last night?" she asked. "You called me at midnight, but you never spoke." Cold spread through me. "I was here," I said slowly. "I survived." She paused. "Who is this?" My reflection appeared in the dark TV screen. It smiled, and for the first time, I didn't recognize myself.